So we have an update when it comes to the future of Tessa Blanchard and possibly Tessa Blanchard signing with AEW. Now, obviously, since Tessa Blanchard left Impact Wrestling last year, at the point of time which she was actually the Impact World Champion, there's been a whole plethora of speculation and discussion about where she's going to head next. Because, of course, everyone, without question, knows that Tessa Blanchard is an incredibly talented professional wrestler and performer, but there is certainly a lot of baggage there when it comes to comments, allegations, behaviour that's happened in Tessa Blanchard's past. So we have a bit of an update when it comes to her future, possibly signing with AEW. Now, former Impact World Champion Tessa Blanchard, of course, still remains a free agent after departing Impact Wrestling last year, and it seems like AEW has no immediate plans of signing her. This is according to AEW commentator Tony Schiavone. Now, on this week's AEW Dynamite post-show, Schiavone was asked if AEW was indeed considering bringing in Blanchard to bolster its women's division. Of course, there is a women's division tournament going on right now. Obviously, Tessa Blanchard isn't a part of that, but it certainly has opened up the discussion once again about AEW, their women's division, and potentially signings in the future. So this is what Schiavone had to say. He said, quote, "Yes, I don't think that's happening," when he was asked if he had any information on AEW signing Tessa Blanchard. He continued with, "At least not anytime soon. I would have heard that if she's coming over." So, look, I always say when stuff like this, when stories like this come out about people's comments on post shows, about signings, about angles, about information, you have to consider, realistically, is Tony Schiavone going to actually come out on the AEW Dynamite post-show and say, yeah, we're signing Tessa Blanchard, she's already signed a contract? Of course not. I do believe here, of course, he's being accurate and truthful. Now, it was reported back in December by Wrestling Inc. exclusively that Blanchard had yet to decide her next destination, as she is still celebrating her recent marriage to fellow wrestler Daga. Now, it was noted that the third-generation wrestler is waiting out the pandemic before making any further moves, which of course she can. It's not as if she's, in the twilight of her career or anything like this. She's still very, very young. She's still in her 20s, and she still does have a lot of future ahead of her. When it comes to Tessa Blanchard and AEW, I've always said this. I've always had this stance on Tessa Blanchard when it comes to where I think she'll end up next. AEW, I would be really, really surprised. I would be really surprised. Now, would Tessa Blanchard be a benefit to AEW's women's division? Of course she would. Of course she would. She's incredibly talented. She's, former Knockouts champion, former Impact World Champion. There's a reason Impact Wrestling decided to make her the first ever woman to hold a previously male-dominated world championship in a male's division, because she's just that talented. She's incredibly talented. Of course, she's got the lineage of her father, Tully. She's obviously got Magnum being her, is it her uncle or godfather? So look, she has the real, she has that third generation talent, and she's incredibly talented. But given the allegations, and obviously they're just allegations, I don't think there's been any concrete visual or audio evidence of these allegations, but they're pretty damning, and there's certainly been a lot of people that have said them. Those allegations range from bullying, allegedly racist comments or racist language, being unprofessional, difficult to work with, etc. That's a lot of baggage to come with it. And the reason why I think it's unlikely that she'll go to AEW, and I always felt that it was unlikely that she would go to AEW, is because Tony Khan's been very upfront about his opinions on these kind of situations in the past, specifically when he talks about Hulk Hogan. Now, obviously, Hulk Hogan, we know about, and these weren't even allegations, these are proven fact in those released tapes back in 2015. We know that Hulk Hogan used racist language in there. The transcripts are out there. I don't know if the actual audio was ever released of that, but the transcripts are out there, and Hulk Hogan admits that he said those things. He didn't apologise for them. He apologised that he was recorded saying those things. He didn't apologise for saying them. I think that's another discussion point. Nevertheless, Tony Khan has been very upfront about that in the past, saying that because of that language that was used by Hogan in the past, because of all of that stuff, because of the sort of wishy-washy apology that was given by Hogan when he returned to the WWE, Tony Khan said, look, for what you did and for what you said in the past, you're not welcome at any AEW events. People that use that kind of language aren't welcome at any AEW events. Any AEW tapings, any AEW related matters will never have an invite to Hulk Hogan. Now, is Hulk Hogan ever going to go to an AEW event anyway? Probably not. I mean, at this stage in his life, he's a WWE guy. They trot him out whenever they need him, whether it's Raw Legends Night or whatever. And Hogan, he can't wrestle anymore. He shouldn't be wrestling even if he was healthy, frankly, considering he's in his 60s at this point. Regardless, he was always going to go to WWE, and that's just what it was. That's just what it is. So that was never going to happen. But it was a precedent set by Tony Khan there. It was saying, look, people that use that kind of language, people behave in that way, they're not allowed to come to AEW events. And I'm the president, I'm the founder, I'm the CEO. It's my company. These are the rules. This is what I feel strongly about, and you have to credit Tony Khan for that. The issue there would be that if you sign someone like Tessa Blanchard, where is the difference? Tessa Blanchard has denied the allegations against her, but she did a very strange thing in that she denied the allegations against her, but apologized for her behavior in the past, knowing that she was young and she might have been unprofessional. She did deny using racist language, but there are certainly a lot of people that have said, no, I was there, I heard it, I heard her do it, I heard her say it. And again, it doesn't look good. So when it comes to the AEW connection there, could AEW use Tessa Blanchard in the women's division? Absolutely. But the precedent's been set by Tony Khan, and I just think it wouldn't obviously look good for AEW anyway in terms of the negative PR because of the baggage that comes with Tessa Blanchard, but also wouldn't be good because people would say, look, Tony Khan, you said this and you've gone back on your word. And I think that would not look good for the talent, the employees, and the fans around the world. So I've always felt that's highly unlikely. Furthermore as well, when it comes to Tessa Blanchard, frankly, and I don't mean to go into this topic again because I feel like I say it all the time when I talk about AEW and the women's division, but Tessa Blanchard going to the AEW Women's Division, realistically, would it make a difference to how women's wrestling is booked in AEW? Possibly. She is a big star. She does have a lot of talent, and maybe having someone like her in the company would say to, on a bigger contract, would say to AEW officials, look, we have to get the most money out of a talent like this. We have to feature them more prominently, and we have to use them in longer form matches, in main event matches, etc. But looking from the outside in right now, that's just not what AEW does. And that's been the biggest problem when it comes to the AEW Women's Division. Now, recently, in fairness to them, I do feel like strides have been at least tried to be made. The AEW Women's Championship Eliminators Tournament, I think, is a step in the positive direction. I think having multiple matches on the show is a step in the positive direction. If you watch the Japanese side of the tournament on YouTube, I thought that was fantastic. Why a couple of those matches couldn't be on Dynamite? Obviously, production quality may have factored into that. Regardless, I think it's a step in the right direction. But still, there are certainly strides that need to be made when it comes to the AEW Women's Division, not because of the talent. The talent there is extensive at this point, and they have a great women's roster. Is it the level of an Impact Wrestling's Knockouts division? No, I don't think so. Is it the level of the WWE and NXT Women's Division? Absolutely not. But there is a lot of talent there. Whether it is Britt Baker, Hikaru Shida, Nyla Rose, the list goes on and on. Abaddon, Taya Conti. There is, Anna Jay. There is lots of talent there that might be a little bit rough around the edges right now, but certainly they've got a very talented women's division. It all just comes down to how they're booked and the opportunity. Previously, historically, since Dynamite debuted in October of 2019, since AEW debuted in 2019. There just hasn't been that focus on the women's division. There just hasn't been those matches that go 20, 25 minutes. There hasn't been that episode of Dynamite where they go, we're going to put women in the main event. And we're going to have women regularly main event the show, which happens in WWE. We've seen it. Women have main evented Raw, SmackDown, certainly NXT. They've main evented WrestleMania. They've main evented pay-per-views. Are they on an equal footing with the men now? No, they shouldn't be, because it's proven at this point that women's wrestling can draw. I know people will say, well, look at the television ratings and look at pay-per-view buy rates. That's got nothing to do with female wrestling. It doesn't have anything to do with female wrestling. That has to do with how people consume content. Television ratings are down, not because female wrestling is in the main event. Television ratings are down because television ratings are going down in a variety of industries, not just for pro wrestling, but for most other things, unless you're cable news and sports. Television ratings are going down anyway. Women's wrestling wrestling's got nothing to do with that. Furthermore, the reason that the ratings are going down for the likes of Raw and other pro wrestling programs is programs like Raw just aren't good to watch. It's got nothing to do with the female wrestling. Female wrestling can draw. It's main evented WrestleMania, and that show had however many thousand people in the stadium. People say, well, they came for WrestleMania. Well, yes, that's probably true, but WWE wouldn't put that main event on if they didn't think they could do it. Some of the biggest stars in MMA and around the world are female. It's got nothing to do with female wrestling. So the idea that female wrestling can't draw is a myth, and it shouldn't be a reason for why AEW female talent doesn't main event. So there's still strides to be made there, in my opinion. But I do think they are trying that, and maybe getting someone in like a Tessa Blanchard would change that. Again, I think there are far more fundamental issues in the AEW Women's Division rather than, oh, we need to get Tessa Blanchard in to fix it. I just don't see that. I don't see that. For me, always the most likely destination, if you were going to pick WWE or AEW, would be WWE, because they don't care about negative PR. The biggest question when it comes to Tessa Blanchard is, would a company be willing to take that chance on her considering the baggage there? Because whoever does sign Tessa Blanchard will have to field those questions, will have to take the scrutiny and criticism that comes with it of why would you sign someone with these allegations? Why would you do this? Why would you do that? And I'm not sure AEW is willing to do that. WWE certainly is. Certainly is. They don't care about negative PR. How many negative PR stories have we seen about WWE over the course of the past 12 months alone that they could have done something about, but they decided not to? We'll ride it out. I mentioned they've signed back Hulk Hogan. He's a Hall of Famer again. They suspended him or they released him and then erased him from existence but brought him back. It was like Marvel and the snap and the blip. He was back suddenly. So you've got that, and that they don't care about what he said. You've got people under contract with allegations against them, whether it's the Velveteen Dream, whether it's Austin Theory, whether it's a plethora of NXT UK talent like Jordan Devlin or Joe Coffey. There is a lot of guys there that maybe are lucky to still be employed. Again, they're just allegations, they're alleged, but it's the same with Tessa Blanchard. They're allegations, they're alleged. It's one word versus another, and they're still under contract, and that's got a varying degree of scrutiny anyway. So again, WWE doesn't care about that. And do we need to go through the Saudi Arabia deal and people like Aleister Black not being able to perform because he has a religious tattoo on his back? Or does it have to be Darren Young at the time who couldn't go over there because he was a homosexual? Or does it have to be all of the female talent that couldn't perform on those very lucrative shows because they were female? Does it have to do with, a variety of negative PR stories? Third-party platforms, that's backing it right now. WWE aren't giving their talent bonuses this year, which I know a lot of people have said, wow, it's a really bad economy at the moment. We're living in a pandemic. Lots of companies are going out of business and lots of people aren't getting bonuses. That is a valid point, but this is still the company that just days prior to telling their talent that they're not going to get a bonus, they were bragging and boasting to their shareholders about what a revenue-led year it had been, what a lucrative year, how profit and revenue had grown by at least 1% despite the pandemic, and how WWE is more profitable than ever. They just signed a $1 billion contract with Peacock. Their television revenue deals are nearly worth $2.5 billion as well. This is a very lucrative company, and the reason they decided not to give their talents bonuses this year is because they want to keep their shareholders happy, and frankly, they've got an excuse not to give them one because of the pandemic. That's what the company does. So again, they don't care about negative PR. There is a plethora of negative PR stories when it comes to WWE. Tessa Blanchard signing with them would just be another one, and they would ride it out and people would forget. And even if they don't forget, WWE wouldn't care because money would be made. If there's money to be made, if there's money on the table, WWE will make it. They will take it. That's always been the precedent when it comes to WWE. So I've always felt that she would likely go to WWE eventually. AEW, I'm not ruling it out. I just think it's very unlikely. I just think it's very, very unlikely. And as I mentioned with Shivani's comments, he's hardly going to come out if there was a deal in place to say, oh, yes, yeah, she's going to sign with AEW. That's pretty much done. She's debuting next week. No, that's not going to happen. But I do think he's being factual there. I would be really surprised to see that happen. In the meantime, before she goes to WWE, I think it's likely she'll probably do some work with AAA in Mexico or something like that. They're based in Mexico, her and her husband, Daga. So I think that, again, that's likely to be the scenario there. But look, Tessa Blanchard, if whatever company can find a way of navigating all of these allegations, look, she's an incredible talent. There is no doubt about it. This is the thing with Tessa Blanchard. You can never question her talent. She's obviously very talented, and she's born to do this. As I mentioned, third generation. But there is that other side, and it's about weighing that up. And obviously, I don't think AEW feels that it's worth it. I think WWE does. And I'm sure other companies will. If there was an independent scene right now, if there was a thriving independent scene where you had shows, every day of the week, Tessa Blanchard would be booked all over the place. Because they would. I don't think they care that much about negative PR. And they would think, you know what, it's Tessa Blanchard, she's a big enough name, we'll book her. So it's not as if she'll never wrestle again. I think she will find work. I think she'll end up in WWE, but I don't think she'll end up in AEW. But of course, as always, it's just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on Tessa Blanchard possibly joining AEW in the future? Or is she likely to go to WWE? Or is she likely to go to Mexico and stay there? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about AEW, WWE, Impact Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, all things pro wrestling here on the channel. So be sure to get involved in the community, drop a comment below. All opinions are welcome. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button too. Really does help us out here on YouTube, go up the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video, along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.